What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with your RSM Classic DFS preview. But before we get to that, we've got winners. So going back to last week, here are the two people, Yosef825 and Troy in Plymouth. You guys have won a week subscription to DFS On Demand. That's my site where all the tools that you see us use here are from. So enjoy that. I'll reach out to you if I have your contact information, or if not, shoot me a tweet. Shoot me an email. I'll get you set up real quick. If you would like to enter a draw to win a week subscription to DFS On Demand, two ways to do so. Make sure you like this video, you are subscribed to the channel, and comment below to tell me your favorite play this week under $7,000. We're going to do some long shots. The other way, go to wherever you're listening to this on the podcast, iTunes specifically, leave a 5-star review, say something nice about the show, and leave me your Twitter handle so I can get in touch with you. All right, that's it for the winners. This week it's the RSM Classic. It's the final event, or final regular event, before the end of the PGA Tour calendar year. This is a 2-course event. So the Seaside course will be the host course. The Plantation course will be the secondary course. So each golfer will play one round on each course on Thursday and Friday. Then after the cut, it will go back to the Seaside course. Good news is we will have shot link data, but only on the Seaside course. So keep that in mind as we go through this week. Both of them are fairly easy courses. The Plantation course in general was like the 3rd easiest course on tour last year, something like that. So we'll play super easy because it has 2 extra par 5s on it. It's a par 72 as opposed to the Seaside course's par 70. All right, I think that is basically all we need to cover here at the top. Let's get over to the tools. All right, 5 guys over $10,000 for this week, starting with Webb Simpson at $11,600, followed by Billy Horschel at $11,000, Matt Kuchar at $10,600, Charles Howell III $10,004, Harris English $10,000. I gotta admit, I don't really love any of these guys in particular. I think Webb Simpson is interesting because he's the most expensive by a pretty significant margin, over $600 over Billy Horschel. To no fault of his own, we just haven't seen much of him. I mean, he's only played the Shriners this season, in which he finished 7th. So I mean, it's not like we've seen a whole heck of a ton of Webb Simpson, but when he has played once, he's been fine. He's been great with the top 10. He has kind of a deceiving average finish. So what always pops up around the industry is average finish for the RSM Classic or any tournament in general. And Webb's is pretty deceptive because he had a withdrawal 2 years ago, so that really kind of drops him down the list. But he went 3rd last year, withdrawal, 36th, 41st, and then he had a really good run, 7th, 2nd, and 12th. So he's had a lot of success here at Sea Island. I think he's interesting because he's not going to be very sexy. Not a lot of people are going to play him because he hasn't played since, the Shriners. I was there. That was the end of September. We just haven't seen him. And I think you can easily go down and you could play Kuchar. You could play Charles Howell III. You could go back to Harris English. I just think he's probably like the forgotten one in this $10,000 range. So I think he's really interesting because he's very accurate off the tee. He's an elite putter, which are 2 of the skill sets that we'll talk about in a second that are going to be really important for this week. Of these other 10,000 guys, not that interested in Matt Kuchar. Kuchar has not had really good success here in Sea Island, despite being one of these guys who has a lot of the local flavor. Didn't play last year. Year before that, he was 29th, missed the cut, 25th and 22nd. So when you're Matt Kuchar and you have not cracked the top 20 in a tournament in your last 4 starts, that's probably not a great sign. But this course might not fit you all that well. We've talked about this at other times where, when you're playing a home game here, there's a lot of responsibilities that go into that. You've got to get tickets for your family and friends. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to go away and play somewhere else. Now, Harris English, I've been hosting a podcast on CBS Sports. It's called The First Cut. Check it out if you're interested, where we kind of dive more into the golf headlines. And Harris English comes up a lot because of this transformation that he's gone through. The guy now has 4 top 10s in his last 5 starts this season. He hadn't had 4. It was 79 previous starts for him to get his next 4 top 10s. I mean, it's just been unbelievable before this year. And so he's one of these guys that I think is really interesting, but that price at 10,000 is starting to get a little bit to critical mass. The guy that I would not blame you for starting your lineups with, and I'll be really interested. This is the guy. Kevin Kisner 9,800 is going to be the deciding factor around if people bank on recent form or if they bank on course history, because Kisner has one in a big way and the other one terrible. So the recent form, 76th at Mayakoba, which frankly that was a shock considering he missed like 4 straight cuts there. 28th at the WGC, 66th at Zozo. It has been very uninspiring golf for Kevin Kisner. The course history, on the other hand, is pretty much unbelievable. Tied for 7th last year, 4th the year before, missed the cut in 2017, won this event in 2016, finished 4th in 2015, and 20th in 2014. So that is 6 starts, right? 6 starts, excuse me. 5 top 20s, 4 top 7s, and a win. That's your course horse for this week. And what I like about Kisner, hated Kisner last week because I didn't think the course set up all that well for him. This week it absolutely does. These are much shorter courses where, just being in the fairway is going to be critical. Kevin Kisner is absolutely that guy. He can putt the lights out when he gets hot. Really good vibes here. I like Kisner in pretty much a pretty significant way. Scrolling down here, Brendan Todd's 9,100. I'll tell you what, I'm not really against going back to this guy and getting some exposure to him. I had him in my single entry lineup last week. He was 1% owned. Certainly expect him to be higher owned now, but this should be a course that fits him. So we'll talk about course fit a little bit more when we get over to the key stats. But here's Brendan Todd's player profile, and it's pretty funny stuff because the guy, even just to start this year, went cut. Then was at 28th in Houston, and then back-to-back wins. Obviously, he's found something. He's been the most valuable golfer. If you've checked out the value matrix, let me pull that up for you real quick. This is a free tool on DFSOnDemand.com. You can go check this out. It's just up here at the go down to the drop down, go under free tools and click value matrix. And if you just go to like let's just go to like from June on maybe. That might be good, or maybe even more recent because he hasn't played a whole ton here. Hold on, let me just do like September 1st, maybe October 1st. We're gonna find him. Oh, here he starts to show up. Okay, here, Brendan Todd, 5 starts, averaging 11 times value. If you click on his name, you'll see, returned almost 5 times value at Shriners, 12 in Houston, which is pretty great considering you only had a $6,400 price tag. Then the 2 wins, 19 and 18 times value. Guys, Danny Lee's kind of up there too, where Danny Lee's had a really good run of returning value. Brendan Todd the same way. Now, obviously, the $9,100 price tag is going to change that this week. No way he goes for 20 times value, but he's still. This is one of the better spots for him, I think. So don't mind going back to Brendan Todd. Brian Gay is the type of guy you get like 6 chances a year to play. This is one of them. Short course, accurate off the tee. He's $8,800. Playing well. 3rd in Bermuda, 14th at the Mayakoba, 7th at the Shriners. He has a 3rd place finish here. I mean, there's very few times in which you get to play him, and this is probably it. But the guy that, and I'll just holler at a couple more guys here before we get over to the key stats, because that's really where I'd love to go. Russell Henley is like a really interesting option. I'm going to try to pull this up from last week. So Russ Henley is 8,500. He has not had, hold on, let me see if I can find this for you. Okay. Here's Russell Henley. He missed the cut last week, but if you were not paying attention to how he missed the cut, it's pretty remarkable. Where is he? Okay, here he is. So, he goes out and he shoots a 66, which was 5 under on, it wasn't Thursday because they got delayed, in the first round. So he was in the thick of this thing, okay? Then he goes out and shoots a 77 on paper. But if you did not read the reports, Russ Henley took 8 penalty strokes because he was using a different type of ball on 4 holes. So this is wild. So he was actually like signing autographs or giving out balls in his bag after the round, and he realized that he had a different model golf ball that he had been using, I guess, on some of the holes. I don't know if that was 2 different Pro V1s or whatever that is, but what he ends up having to do is take a 2-shot penalty on 4 straight holes. The second round, 9, 10, 11, and 12. He double bogeys all of them after adding that 2 shots to each one. And he gives himself 8 penalty strokes and goes from shooting a 69 to a 77. So really on the course, the guy was, he would have been like 6 under or 7 under through 2 rounds if he didn't have these wild penalty strokes that got assessed to him after the rounds. He had one other, actually, did he? Yeah, he had one real bogey over the course of 2 rounds. I'm not counting the ones where we added 2 shots to his score. He had one real bogey over 2 rounds. Like, to me, this is an opportunity where a lot of people are just going to see this on paper and say, oh, Henley missed the cut last week. He, whatever, he stinks, he shot a 77, when that is not at all remotely what happened. And then you look at Russell Henley, 3 straight top 10s here at the RSM Classic from 2015 to 2017. Like, yeah, this is such a strange situation that we probably won't get the opportunity to invest in again. I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy on Henley and see what happens here. I think this is just a really weird situation, and I think you get a really good opportunity for him to bounce back. Okay, other than that, the fact that Lanto's 8,000's probably pretty crazy, right? I mean, I don't remember what his price tag was last week, but this is the guy that, last week in Mayakoba was the first time he has not top 20'd an event. That's probably a pretty good spot to bounce back. I really like Adam Long. Adam Long, a solo second, or I think it was a tie for second in Mayakoba last week. He's made all 6 cuts this year. Just, very accurate off the tee. He's the guy that would be interesting. Chris Kirk, very interesting. So well documented that last week in Mayakoba was his return after taking a break, try to deal with some alcohol abuse issues that he was having, and he comes back and he goes T33 on at Mayakoba, and he's a past winner here. This course should set up much better for him. So his last 6 starts at the RSM are 46th, 4th, missed the cut, 18th, 4th again, and a win. That's a pretty good run. So this course should really set up well for him. $7,600. I like Joel Damon as well. He's got 2 top 10s in his last 4 starts. And then there was one more guy down here, I thought. Harry Higgs, I think, is interesting. So what I like to take are guys who, might find something on the weekend. This is how we got on Rory the week that he won at WGC, because the prior week at Zozo, he was the best player in the final 3 rounds. He was the best player in the final 2 rounds. Harry Higgs is interesting. So Higgs has now made 2 straight cuts for the first time in his career. This is his first season. So he went 2nd at Bermuda, 33rd at Mayakoba. But he was, he shot a 66, I believe. Let me see if I have this right. Yeah, I'm sorry, 68 no, it had to be better than that. No, okay, so 68 in Mexico in the final round, which included 5 birdies on his back 9. So the last time this guy's teed it up, his back 9 was scorching, included an eagle. So Harry Higgs is the type of guy that I think you can kind of take as a little bit of a flyer here. And then my sub 7 guy, quite frankly, there's a lot of we might find some more names when we jump over to the key stats, because I think that's where a lot of the value ends up showing up here. But man, it's kind of ugly. Lebioda played well at Bermuda, then he missed the cut last week in Mayakoba. Let's see here. Robert Streb, I believe, is actually a past winner here. Is that true? Did I make that up? No. Robert Streb won here a couple years ago, coming off of 14th at Mayakoba. He might be a guy that I'd be interested in. But let's jump over to the key stats. I feel like we always usually find a lot of value over there. All right, so here we go. Nothing really stands out here. So remember, when I run this regression model for these key stats to find the type of golfer who should find success here, we've had shot link data here before, which is nice, but also remember this is a two course event, so this is okay. This isn't great. It's okay. But what you've seen is accurate drivers have done really well here. Then guys who hit it far have done really well here. Guys that putt well have been better than most. Then there's some of the most important stats when you get into it. Par three birdie or better, very very specific. But that is an opportunity that you might want to look at too. So we've got the stats over here, but let's go through these. So let's just start with tee to green. I love that, right? So this is strokes gained tee to green. This is 2020 data. So I know in the past, Lanto Griffin wasn't in here because the PGA Tour, and I actually had tweeted this out, the PGA Tour data was screwed up on their own website. Basically, like if you went to Lanto Griffin's player profile on the PGAtour.com, they only had him for 4 measured rounds, which was obviously not true. The guy had like 20 rounds played this year or something like that. So they were way behind. That was kind of infiltrating some of my data, but it looks like we're clean here now and up to date. So I was using 2019 data also because I wanted it for sample size purposes, but now we are back to using 2020 data here. So you might see some guys that are really far out there, but Boo Weekly, 2 shots per round tee to green, probably unsustainable. Adam Hadwin is number 2 here, $9,600. Really great putter, obviously. 1.9 strokes gained tee to green per round. There's our buddy Joel Damon. So he played well in the events that had shot link data. Dylan Fratelli is here. Ryan Armour, Harris English. These are all fairly viable options because tee to green is such a critical stat week in and week out. I do want to see the birdie or better guys because this is this is another tournament that could get to 20 under par. The Plantation course plays like one of the easiest courses on tour every single year. So guys that can really fire up the birdies. Matt Kuchar, Webb Simpson. Then it's Maverick McNeely, who's $6,800. So McNeely really struggling on approaches in measured rounds, but hits the ball a decent bit and has been making a ton of birdies. Scotty Scheffler's on this list. That guy's going to win here eventually. Harris English, Denny McCarthy, Brian Gay, which interesting to see Brian Gay making as many birdies as he does. He's probably going to be a core golfer for me. And it's, one of these situations where that 8K range is kind of packed with guys. I really love it. Since driving accuracy, is one of the top stats for this week, I do want to show through those guys. Jim Furyk is number 1, hitting 75% of his fairways. He's 8,100. He actually grades out pretty well in a lot of these stat categories, quite frankly. Plays well tee to green, making birdies on 25% of his holes. Brian Stewart's here, 7,400. KJ Choice, 64. Ryan Armour, 77. Matthew Neesmith, I know he made a hole-in-one last week. I don't know how he ended up finishing. Let's see if we can find him here really quickly. T48. So shot his best round in the opening round and then, played all right. Nothing too special, but he's only $6,300, so it's not like you could go too wrong there. Here's Brendan Todd, $9,100. He's like 7th on this list. And let's see one more. Let's just see scoring average because, I hate to look at kind of like the simple stats here, but since it's so early in the season, we don't even have a lot of this data for sure. Like Matt Kuchar has not played a measured shot link round yet, so we don't have any strokes gained data on him. So that's what you're seeing. Like Chris Kirk, same thing, right? That's what happens when these guys are all blank. So at least scoring average, there's a larger sample size here. Webb Simpson leads the way, 66.25 stroke per round. Alex Noren is on this list. Matt Kuchar, Harris English, Denny McCarthy there, and then Lanto, which is why I'm just so confused on why Lanto would be $8,000 here. So I suspect like look at this, like these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, McCarthy, Lanto, Scotty, Todd, Brian Gay will probably be in a lot of my lineups. They're all between $8,000 and $9,200. Like that is just that section of the player pool is super stacked this week. Like right here, like yeah, 8,000 to 92 is just like, I love all of those guys. I'll probably make a bunch of lineups with all of them. So, there you go. Let me know what you think. We are going to put a bow on this calendar year for the RSM Classic. I don't know what DraftKings, if they have any plans for anything. I probably not President's Cup wise, but Hero World Challenge, I guess we'll have some tough stuff to do. Maybe we'll do some Euro stuff, but this is the time of year where if you want to run some contests and some pools, let me know if you have some cool formats. Maybe we'll get something together for the President's Cup. We can throw a couple bucks in. It'll be a lot of fun. Or also any tool updates. So the week or two that we have off, those are the times that I will go in, update tools, make sure the database is in really good shape, add anything, features and whatnot. So let me know if you want anything, if you got anything on your Christmas wish list for me, and I'll do my best to get around to it. All right, best of luck this week. Tweet me, guys. It's at RickRunGood, or leave a comment below. Later.